Yep.
Well, it depends on the day for the Wisconsin men's basketball team here. Possibly a recipe for success here. Pablo Iglesias, Riley out here on the Saturday Scramble. Jumping into Wisconsin Badgers talk. They are playing Purdue today. Wonder what the line looks like, too, and where they stand between the Purdue Boilermakers, number 15, 3 o'clock game on CBS. Purdue, 8.5-point favorites. But
seems like a big line.
We've seen Wisconsin pull it out before. And before we dive deeper into this, I want to tease over to some sound that Ben Brust and Alex Strofe on March Mode, which you can catch on the ESPN Wisconsin app and on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. Fantastic series leading up to March and diving into the mind of Ben Brust. Here's what Ben had to say. Even though the Badgers are 8.5-point underdogs, here's his thoughts on these next two games.
2-0 week tells me that I don't care what happens in the Big Ten tournament, they're ready for the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
You know, like 20 games in the Big Ten is tough. Like even looking around at other leagues, they're still playing 18 like regular season games. Now there's God knows how many teams in the Big Ten now.
A lot. More than
10. Very much more than 10.
Yes.
Where, you know, it's a grind. Playing 20 conference tournament games is a grind.
Yeah, I agree with that, too, where in a perfect world, yes, you would love to see Wisconsin end the regular season on a good 2-0 stretch. And we talked a little bit about this on the Jump Around, too, this past Thursday, also produced by Riley Jauch. You can catch us Thursdays at 12:30. Also, that sound, too, coming from March Mode. You could stream the second episode on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. It goes back to what I mentioned, what stood out to me, where the Badgers could just turn on a dime. They are cold, ice cold, 0 for 9 from 3. That's not a sexy stat, don't get me wrong.
Just need one.
But it just takes one. That's right, Riley. John Blackwell from beyond the arc, and all of a sudden you get this 8-0 run. And I asked Greg Gard, too, and he said it's a testament to how we've been battle-tested the entire season. This team learned how to fight through adversity. They never gave up on each other. They knew how to rely on one another, and that's the upside of this one. Again, you go into Purdue, you go into Mackey Arena, everybody knows what this environment brings. But the Badgers did it last year. Mm-hmm. Could we see a possible 1-2 punch from Nick Boyd and John Blackwell? John Tonje put the team on his back last year at Mackey Arena. We'd love to get to see that type of performance from either Blackwell or Boyd, but if you can get them both turning it on, that'd be something.
Yeah, Mackey Arena and Purdue are arguably more fallible than ever this year. That is for sure. They have two really good guards, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer. I don't think they have too much size, or at least no one that's really intimidating. Nolan Winter we're not going to see today for the Badgers. I don't think the Badgers are going to get totally out-muscled. And you mentioned Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. What does Nick Boyd do every time he faces one of the best guards in the Big Ten? He always elevates his game, every single time. Bennett Sturtz of Iowa, he nearly drops a triple-double. I will acknowledge he didn't have the greatest game in the world the last time the Badgers played Purdue, but this team is playing so much better basketball than they were at that point in the season than they were in January. Right now, this team has gelled. They have meshed. They're in a great spot. And even if they don't beat Purdue today, I think they have a very good shot at knocking off the Boilermakers today. But I am not concerned if they lose today. To go to our poll question, they lose today, they win their first game in the Big Ten tournament, lose in the quarterfinals to one of the top 4 seeds in the Big Ten. I am okay with that. I think a win today over Purdue, 100%. The worst they could be is a 6 seed. Then they potentially could get a 5 if they beat Purdue, and especially if they win in the quarterfinals in the Big Ten tournament. Then you're really looking at a 5 line. But a win over Purdue solidifies the 6. You're not going to fall to a 7. A loss today, you still are in that 6-7 range. Would love a win today to get that 6 seed.
But would you want to be a 5 seed?
Yes, I'm not too worried about the 12 seed. So I was looking at some bracketology, 3 different outlets. I'm looking at On3, CBS, and Joe Lunardi at ESPN. I think Joe Lunardi right now has the Badgers in the absolute perfect scenario. Badgers win today over Purdue. They stay on the 6 line, and this is what they get. This is what I want for the Wisconsin Badgers come the NCAA tournament. Beat Purdue today. You get to the quarterfinals, Big Ten tournament, you get bounced. Who cares? You go west. Go west, young man. Go west, young Badgers. You go to Portland.
Yes.
You go to Portland, you get Texas as the 11 seed round 1. Who's scared of Texas? Nobody. Horns down. Boom. Advance to the round of 32. Then you get Gonzaga in the second round as the 3 seed. I am not worried about Gonzaga in the slightest. That is the best possible 3 seed matchup for the Badgers, in my opinion. You have Joe Lunardi as Purdue listed, Iowa State, Nebraska as the other 3 seeds. I don't want Iowa State. I don't want Nebraska. I don't mind Purdue, but I don't want the Big Ten teams, and I don't want Iowa State. Give me Gonzaga, Badgers on to the Sweet 16. And then who do you see in the Sweet 16? None other than the Illinois Fighting Illini. Oh. The Badgers have beaten them before, baby. Then you're moving on to the Elite 8, and more than likely, you're battling Texas Tech or UNC. Not worried about them. Or I guess Arizona's the 1 seed. You'd probably see Arizona. But at that point, Badgers have an absurd amount of momentum. They can beat anyone. And we know what happens. Wisconsin, Arizona in the Elite 8 out west. Come on. That's a free win for the Badgers. It's going to happen. And then you're in the Final Four. That's the perfect road, in my mind, for the Wisconsin Badgers. You look at on 3. I hate this. I hate this.
Tell us how you really feel.
This setup. Wisconsin as a 7 seed, which if Wisconsin goes 0-2 against Purdue and in their first round matchup after their double bye in the Big Ten tournament, 7 seeds possible. You get Mizzou round 1, not worried, that's a win. But then you have to deal with Houston in the second round. No, thank you. I think they could win, but would prefer not to have to go through Houston, Purdue again, potentially then Arkansas or Michigan in the Elite 8. Nah, fam. Don't like that road. Is it doable? Sure. Don't like it. And finally, CBS Sports has the Badgers as a 6 seed, and they would be playing one of the play-in teams at 11. I'm great with that. That's perfect. But then you get Iowa State as the 3 seed in the second round. I get they're struggling. I think the Badgers could win that game. Don't like the matchup. Then you have Illinois, beatable, but then you'd have Duke out east. Not a fan. So the Badgers, there is a road. There is a road, but you got to stay on the 6 line, which would really help if you get a win over Purdue today, and then you need things to fall into place.
He's our bracketologist, Riley Jauch. I'm Pablo Iglesias. This is the Saturday Scramble. Want to go into our poll question after that breakdown from Riley Jauch. How far do the Badgers need to go in the Big Ten tournament for you to feel good about the NCAA tournament chances? Getting some back and forth comments too, saying really the general consensus is that based off the results here, regardless, the Big Ten tournament only means so much. But based off of the results here, right now, it seems like that if the Badgers make it to the semifinals, that's in the lead right now, not too far behind quarterfinals. So it seems like based off the poll results, a quarterfinal or a semifinal appearance could be the best that could help Badger fans feel good about where they stand in the tournament.
Well, yeah, the bracket's set by the time the semifinals are played. Unless Wisconsin wins the Big Ten. At that point, I don't think anything's going to change if they win their quarterfinals game.
I feel good about where the Badgers are at. I like that, again, even though wherever you're going to be at in the tournament, and I wanted to go back, I said a little bit on the jump around that seeding doesn't matter. I think more of placement, yes, it does matter who you face, but I still like this team's chances. Now, it's in the best way. You play up to your competition, which I have not seen a lot of Badger teams do. I've seen them play down to teams over in the years past, which sometimes that has happened. I'm not saying this team is completely, they have not done that this entire season. They've done that a couple times, which is unfortunate. But when it comes down to you're playing your Michigans, you're playing your Michigan States, and you're playing Illinois, again, 2 of those wins on the road and 3 of the best wins, unequivocally, to steal a word from you, Riley, unequivocally, the 3 best wins in all of college basketball. That is what impresses me about Wisconsin come March.
And that's why I think it's very doable. They could knock off a 2 seed. They could knock off a 1 seed. When they're playing at their best, Wisconsin can beat anyone in the country. It's just, would you rather have to beat 2 really good teams to get to the Final Four, or would you have to beat 3 really good teams to get to the Final Four? And I like the Badgers' chances a lot better if they only have to beat 2 really good teams in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8.
And really, the thing that I come back around to is that the common denominator is that 6 seed. I really feel like they need to have that 6 seed for me to feel comfortable in the NCAA tournament. I feel like they can get that 6 seed with either a win today at Purdue or by advancing to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament, because by advancing to the semifinals, that means you beat one of the top 5 teams ahead of you. Mm-hmm. So I think if you get one of those wins, I think that locks down that 6 seed. I don't want to be a 5 seed. I'm terrified of that
juju?
5. How many times have they lost as the 5 seed to a 12?
At least twice to Oregon, I remember, and to Ole Miss.
And then James Madison a couple of years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
I do
at least
not
3
want to be a
times.
5 seed. Give me the 6 seed, 7 seed. You would have to have the lower end of the 2 seed, not someone fighting for a 1. And don't even get me started with the 8.
Okay,
seed.
how would you guys feel? Wisconsin, I've seen Miami of Ohio, undefeated, slotted at both 11 seeds and 12 seeds. So if the Badgers are a 6 or if they work their way up to a 5, would you want the Badgers to play an undefeated Miami of Ohio team, yes or no?
Well, let me back this up, and I want to bring it back to today. I want to talk about today and what the stage sets. Again, win or lose, you're coming in as an 8.5-point underdog. What does a win mean for you guys? Obviously, I think it sends you through the roof, but does a loss concern you at all? Let me bring it back here real quick. I love that question, but
if they get blown out, I'll be a little concerned, especially if they get bodied. If they're Austin Rapp, Iglesias get demolished by Purdue's big fellas, I'm going to be a little concerned about Nolan Winter and how they'll be able to handle that come the NCAA tournament. But if it's nip and tuck, if it's a close loss, no, I'm not worried at all.
Slug it out. Okay.
Yeah, it really depends on what happens. I feel like if they were to lose today to Purdue and it's evident that Nolan Winter was missing, I would be concerned going forward if we didn't have him. That would be my biggest concern. But overall, it's the 15th ranked team on the road. Mackey Arena is a tough place to play. A loss isn't going to do a whole lot, so I'm going to just watch and see how they play without Nolan Winter today.
Yeah, that will be the big question mark, is how are the Badgers going to answer without Nolan Winter? I mean, the good side is that you have a solid rotation, but the rotation is pretty young. With Austin Rapp, Will Garlock, the Middleton guy. I love that he's starting to get more minutes.
Garlock is starting to get some solid minutes in relief.
He's developing. It looks like the confidence is getting there a little bit more, playing at that next level. Man, I really wish he would have thrown it down. Maybe we'll get an Isaac Gard moment, too. Who knows? What if the game made it to there?
If Isaac Gard is playing against Purdue, I am feeling fantastic about the Badgers in March. If Isaac Gard touches the floor tonight, I'm feeling great.
Pablo Iglesias, Riley Jauch here. Wisconsin men's basketball playing this afternoon, 3 o'clock tip-off on CBS. Wisconsin, an 8.5-point underdog, according to ESPN. They have a 20.5% chance of winning. So you're saying there's a chance.
1/5% chance. But you guys need to answer my question before we go to break.
Okay, fair.
Miami of Ohio. They knocked off University of Ohio last night in overtime. Or was it double overtime?
It was
okay, in overtime.
I know a team who pulled it out in double overtime.
It was Bradley who won in double overtime. We'll talk about them later in the show. But are you confident in that matchup if the Badgers square off against Miami of Ohio in round 1?
If the Badgers, based off of it, and this is only what I've seen in highlights, if I think Miami of Ohio was a 500 team, yes, you're on the road, and this is your rival, so there's extra juice, and everybody wants to see the first loss. I don't know if I feel like Miami's going to knock the doors out of Wisconsin. I think that they are just a tough team. From what I saw in the Maryland game, too, on Wednesday, this had sprinklings of what the James Madison physicality had, where the Badgers were kind of get bullied. Maybe they weren't probably getting some of the calls down low. Saw some pushing and shoving. They were being physical. And again, to the resilience and how they were able to, push through it, if you will, they were able to fight. There was a different type of fighting energy and how they were able to come back. So, again, if I can't say every team, they can do that against every single team, but I feel a lot more confident even if it's a Miami of Ohio. Heck, even if it's some of the top dogs, I think Wisconsin can give them a good run, but they need to make sure that they don't count themselves out. They need to know when adversity hits, turn the page, and just keep going.
Which I think is one of the greatest qualities about this particular Wisconsin Badgers team. They've dealt with adversity, they have handled it well, and they have had, I think, the most over 10-point comeback wins in the country.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. So I'm not worried about adversity. Owen, quickly before we go to break, Wisconsin, Miami of Ohio, who do you like?
Yes, Bucky by a billion.
Thank you.
Bucky by a billion. Is that the Chris Orr quote, right?
Yep.
Chris Orr quote.
Bucky by a billion.
Bucky by a billion. Pablo Iglesias, Riley